Welcome to our Germany adventure. Germany is the most populous country in the European Union with 84 million people. Germany is also 6 hours ahead of Michigan time, so it took us about a week to acclimate. Our flight left Detroit at 8:30 p.m. on Thursday. We had a 1-hour layover in Reykjavik, Iceland at 7 a.m., then on to Munich, where we landed around 1 p.m., which was 7 a.m. Friday, in Michigan, but with little to no sleep during the night, so yeah, we were tired. Our car rental upgraded our stick shift to an automatic hybrid, which was a nice surprise and much appreciated to navigate the narrow and busy roads of Germany. Then we headed directly towards our Airbnb, only stopping to buy groceries for supper and breakfast, and took it easy since we were all quite tired. The next morning we drove to Nuremberg. We first checked out St. Sebald Church, a medieval church with construction beginning in 1225 and completed by 1275. The church is one of the most important churches of the city and also one of the oldest. It is located at the Albrecht-Dürer-Platz in front of the old city hall. It takes its name from Sebaldus, an 8th century hermit and missionary and patron saint of Nuremberg. It has been a Lutheran parish church since the Reformation. Nuremberg's main market square is a historic civic landmark that has been the center of activity in the city since medieval times. The market features several iconic landmarks. One is the beautiful fountain, which was completed in 1396 and is a Gothic masterpiece. It stands an impressive 62 feet tall. Visitors and locals love to shop the plentiful fruits and vegetables, fresh bread, treats, ready-to-eat meals, and fresh flowers. From here, we walked to where Shane's aunt grew up and as a little girl survived World War II. They lived through many bombings and would never actually go to the bomb shelter, but for some reason, one time when they heard the air raid sirens, they went and upon returning, saw their home no longer existed.
You're not supposed to look at it.
No, I was walking up to it. I thought, what is on the road?
This is the Nuremberg Castle, with construction beginning around the year 1000. The castle, together with the city walls, is considered to be one of Europe's most formidable medieval fortifications. It represented the power and importance of the Holy Roman Empire and the outstanding role of the imperial city of Nuremberg. It is built on a hill and provides a great lookout of the city. Albrecht Dürer was born in Nuremberg, so we walked past his birth house. Then we drove 5 minutes to the Palace of Justice. The building was chosen as the location of the Nuremberg trials, 1945-1949, for the main surviving German war criminals of World War II because it was almost undamaged, was large enough, and included a large prison complex. The choice of the city of Nuremberg was symbolic, as the Nazi Party had held its large Nuremberg rallies in the city, and because it was the origin of the Nuremberg race laws. The museum takes up a few rooms of the still functioning courthouse and is filled with many hours worth of audio dialogue, as well as the original room in which the trial took place. Our Airbnb in Katterfeld was quite nice and roomy. The owner lived downstairs, and we had the entire upstairs apartment with a separate entrance to the outside. Today started out overcast and rainy, but that didn't stop us. We drove to Eisenach and then made the strenuous hike up to the Wartburg Castle, nestled on a precipice on the top of a tall hill at 1,350 feet and overlooking the town and surrounding countryside of the German state of Thuringia. From May 1521 to March 1522, Martin Luther stayed at the castle under the name of Junker Jörg, the Knight George, after he had been taken there for his safety at the request of Frederick the Wise, following his excommunication by Pope Leo X and his refusal to recant at the Diet of Worms. It was during this period that Luther translated the New Testament from ancient Greek into German in just 10 weeks. Luther's was not the first German translation of the Bible, but it quickly became the most well-known and most widely circulated. Eisenach is also the home to the birthplace of Johann Sebastian Bach, born in 1685 and died in 1750, a German composer and musician of the late Baroque period. We toured the museum built on and around his birthhouse. Paderborn. Jenny and I had our first date in the restaurant across the street, though it is a different restaurant now. To the left is one of the top 10 oldest high schools in the world, founded in 799. The name of the city derives from the river Pader and Born, an old German term for the source of a river. The Pader River is the shortest river in Germany. Paderborn was founded as a diocese by Charlemagne in 795, although its official history began in 777 when Charlemagne built a castle near the Paderborn Springs. The park downtown by the Pader River is a popular spot in the summer to picnic. Some people will sit their drinks in the river to keep them cool. This is Jenny's mom's dog, Muka, Mosquito. We enjoyed Lilo's generous hospitality for 2 days, played many games, and ate great food. We went to a mall, then walked the shopping street where we saw some Stolperstein, stumbling stones. These are placed all over the former Nazi-occupied territories in Europe in front of the former homes of Holocaust victims as a remembrance. We met up with one of Jenny's high school friends and his girlfriend at Maximilian Park. The park was having its annual Fall World of Lights event, which was very cool. The weather that evening was pleasant. We had a very good time with good friends. Next day, we went to see Jenny's grandparents, where we ate lunch and had good conversation, then drove the 3 hours to Egmond an See, a small town on the coast of the North Sea. The weather was nice, though quite windy, which was good for all of the kiteboarders we saw. walked up the beach where we met up with Jesse, and then checked out a Nazi defense bunker in the sand dunes by the beach. The bunker was part of the Siegfried line, a German defensive line built during the late 1930s opposite the French Maginot Line. It stretched more than 390 miles from Cleve on the border with the Netherlands, along the western border of Nazi Germany, to the town of Weil am Rhine on the border with Switzerland. The line featured more than 18,000 bunkers, tunnels, and tank traps. Yum, breakfast! We walked the streets of Alkmaar, a 15-minute drive from Egmond. The average height of a Dutch male is 6 feet, whereas the average American male is just 5 feet 9 inches. Given that fact, Shane looked for and found shoes his size. We then took to the water for a ride through the canals of Alkmaar. For over 1,000 years, the Dutch have been digging canals for transportation, irrigation, and drainage. The ground that was dug up when creating the canals was often used to raise the bordering streets where merchants' houses were built. In addition, the outer canals around the city served as a defense against the outside. We had to duck for these low bridges quite often. I noticed quite a few ducks swimming the canals, and also observed that they never seemed to hit their heads, but then I saw why. It is because they duck. Alkmaar sits only 3 feet above sea level, so, like many other cities in the Netherlands, it is protected by the many sea dikes along the coast. Approximately 2/3 of the Netherlands would be underwater without these dikes. After walking more of the non-water streets of Alkmaar and checking out the various shops and landmarks, we worked up an appetite for some Dutch street food, French fries. Yesterday, we drove 5 hours, which includes a 30-minute detour from a wrong turn on the Autobahn where there was a lot of construction. From Egmond aan Zee to Dillenburg, we stopped in at Jenny's grandparents for lunch, then headed directly to our hotel in Heiger, very near Dillenburg. Today is about seeing, learning, and getting a feel for the places where Shane's ancestors came from. This is to help him in writing a historical fiction novel about his family set in the 18th century. Dillenburg's economy was heavily dependent on mining. Moreover, the entire region was known for its iron mining. Interestingly, we noticed at the local city history museum that they mentioned the word loop, the German word for intermediate clumps of iron, in the iron smelting process, and wondered if there is possibly a connection to the name Looper. We then toured Dillenburg Castle. The castle was mostly deconstructed and materials used in other construction projects in 1760 after having suffered damage in the 7 Years' War. The tower there now was built in the ruins in 1872. Looking at the far hill, you can see where we hiked up to earlier in the morning. We then drove to Ransbach-Baumbach, where Jenny grew up and lived until she was 15. She has some fond memories of this town, especially of the woods that were in walking distance from her house. She would often go there, either alone or with her siblings, to play, to wander around, make plans to build tree houses, or just to enjoy the solitude and peace. Legend has it that there is a witch living in these woods, not surprising since some of the Brothers Grimm's fairy tales take place in Germany, but for some reason, Jenny has never crossed her path. As far as she knows, that is. We stopped for a little hike to a waterfall in Rengsdorf. Rengsdorf is a small town with a population of only about 2,000. Shane traced some of his ancestors to this town during their long pilgrimage to the United States. Our Airbnb in Koblenz was well furnished, very roomy, and with a very large bathroom. Since it had a stove, we ate chicken cordon bleu, vegetables, and creamed spinach for supper. Good morning. It is a little chilly and overcast this morning with temperatures in the 50s, but by afternoon it was sunny and low 60s. We drove 30 minutes from Koblenz to St. Gor to catch a mid-morning train down to Bingen. The train ride was only about 25 minutes, with the tracks nestled in along the Rhine River. We arrived at Bingen on time and took a leisurely walk from the train station to where our ferry back downstream, north, would launch. This section of the Rhine River is known as the Rhine Gorge and is a 41-mile stretch of the river that has been designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's known for its castles, vineyards, and historic views. The Rhine Gorge, also known as the Middle Rhine Valley, has over 40 castles and fortresses built on hilltops. The castles were mainly built between the 12th and 14th centuries as toll houses and defense strongholds. The Rhine Gorge has been a crossroads of cultures for centuries, serving as a vital trade route and a center of political power. The region is not only dotted with majestic castles, but also charming medieval towns and ancient vineyards, each bearing witness to the rich history of the valley. From the imperial city of Koblenz to the picturesque wine-growing town of Rudesheim, the Rhine Gorge offers an enchanting blend of natural beauty and cultural heritage. The Lorelei is a legendary enchantress associated with a steep rock on the right bank of the Rhine River near St. Gorshausen, Germany. According to legend, the Lorelei's enchanting beauty and mesmerizing singing voice were so powerful that they would lure sailors to their doom, causing their boats to crash on the rocks below. Eltz Castle, known as Burg Eltz in German, is one of only 3 castles in the Eifel region that has never been destroyed. It's been owned by the same family for over 850 years. The Eltz family first moved into the castle in the 12th century and have made renovations and additions over the centuries. Welcome to Trier, Germany. Our first stop is the Porta Nigra, or Black Gate. The Romans built the Porta Nigra in the 2nd century AD. It's made of large sandstone blocks that weigh up to 6 tons and are held together by iron clamps. The gate is 96 feet high. The city was founded by the Celts in the late 4th century BC as Trevorum and conquered 300 years later by the Romans, who renamed it Augusta Treverorum, the city of Augustus among the Treveri. Trier is considered Germany's oldest city.
Adam and Eve. Now, is that supposed to be Jesus or the child? Or a serpent in the child? The
Basilica of Constantine is a Roman palace basilica. It was built between 300 and 310 AD during the reigns of Constantine the Great and Constantius Chlorus. Today, it is an evangelical church. We then toured the oldest church in Germany, the High Cathedral of St. Peter. The cathedral's history dates back 1700 years. It was opened in 1270 and designed by Gottfried Böhm, Johann Georg Judas, and Nikolaus Roseny. The cathedral's primary style is Gothic architecture and is made of Roman brick. After finishing our tour of Trier, we made the nearly 3-hour drive to our hotel in Baden-Baden on the edge of the Black Forest. Baden-Baden, literally bathing, is a well-known spa town in the state of Baden-Württemberg, near the border with France. There are a lot of other bathing towns throughout Central Europe, so the double name arose to distinguish it from the others. Baden-Baden is known for its hot springs, Germany's largest opera house, and beautiful parks and gardens. We walked the entire length of this downtown park. It was beautiful. The weather was a little chilly, but otherwise very nice. Lichtenthaler Allee is a 1.4-mile park and arboretum. It was originally a path between the town market and Lichtenthal Monastery in 1655. It was designed in the mid-19th century. The park features fountains, sculptures, and greenery, a lot of it, about 300 types of native and exotic woody plants, including alders, azaleas, chestnuts, ginkgos, limes, magnolias, maples, oaks, and sycamores. Today we are exploring Strasbourg, France. The city was first mentioned in 12 BC as a Roman camp, and its current name is of Germanic origin and means town at the crossing of roads. Strasbourg is one of the de facto 4 main capitals of the European Union. We then toured the Strasbourg Cathedral. Construction began on this massive building in the year 1015 and was completed in 1439. The cathedral's 466-foot tower was once the tallest building in the world, and it's still one of the world's 10 tallest churches. It has been described by Victor Hugo as a gigantic and delicate marvel, and by Goethe as a sublimely towering, wide-spreading tree of God. We sat in on a short service at the Protestant Church of St. Thomas, the Apostle Thomas. One of the organs in this church was played by Mozart in 1778. The next day we visited the Black Forest Open Air Museum. The museum features a collection of German farmhouses, barns, a sawmill, and even a working grain mill from the 16th to 18th centuries. The buildings are original to the Black Forest region, with many being disassembled, transported to the museum, and reassembled. The museum was originally founded as a museum of Black Forest architecture, but it also provides insights into how people lived and worked in the Black Forest, including the red plush ball hats for women. We drove to Triberg, another small Black Forest town famous for its cuckoo clocks. "15 executions are recorded at the 16th century Triberg gallows, 12 of them for witchcraft. The older couple who owned our hotel for the night was very friendly, helpful, and nice. They showed us this nice walking path through a park that took us to a restaurant they recommended for supper. They prepared a delicious traditional German breakfast the next morning. Good morning and welcome to Blaubeeren. This Protestant seminary began as a monastery in 1085, but the Reformation saw the monks kicked out and the Protestant reign began. The Blautopf, German for blue pot, is a spring that serves as the source of the river Blau. Numerous legends and folktales refer to the Blautopf. Its characteristic color was explained by the account that every day someone would pour a vat of ink into the Blautopf. But in reality, the water's peculiarly blue color, varying in intensity depending on weather and flow, is the result of physical properties of the nanoscale limestone particles densely distributed in the water. Next, we headed to the other side of town and hiked almost a mile up to the ruins of a castle. The hike was hard, but the views that it afforded, overlooking the town, was beautiful. Our final stop of the day near our hotel was touring the massive cathedral in Ulm. Shane found socks his size at a store right next to the cathedral to go with the shoes he found in the Netherlands. The city was founded in 850 and has a population of 126,000. The Ulm Cathedral has the tallest steeple in the world at 529 feet high. Ulm is also the birthplace of Albert Einstein. Dachau concentration camp, located just outside of Munich, Germany, was the first concentration camp opened in Nazi Germany. It served as a prototype for the horrific network of camps that would follow, and it is estimated that over 41,500 people died within its walls. Dachau was established in 1933, just months after Adolf Hitler came to power, and was in use for 12 years until the Nazis were defeated. It was initially intended to hold political prisoners, but it soon became a place where Jews, Roma, homosexuals, and other groups deemed undesirable by the Nazis were sent. Conditions at Dachau were horrific. Prisoners were housed in overcrowded barracks, often with no sanitation or privacy. The camp was built to house 6,000 inmates, but by April 1945, that number swelled to over 67,000. They were forced to work long hours in slave labor conditions, and they were subjected to beatings, torture, and medical experiments. Dachau was liberated by American forces in April 1945. The horrors of the camp were exposed to the world, and it became a symbol of the brutality of the Nazi regime. The things I saw beggar description. The visual evidence and the verbal testimony of starvation, cruelty, and bestiality were so overpowering as to leave me a bit sick. I made the visit deliberately in order to be in a position to give first-hand evidence of these things if ever, in the future, there develops a tendency to charge these allegations merely to propaganda. General Dwight D. Eisenhower. We had one last delicious bakery visit before leaving Germany. We arrived at the airport in plenty of time the next morning, with only one quick detour when I pulled into the wrong parking garage to return our rental. As we were heading for the Iceland Air check-in, we received a text message from them saying that our flight had been canceled, and then a few minutes later another message saying that we had been rebooked on a flight to Chicago 1 hour later than our original flight. Our flight was then held at the gate for another 45-minute delay because of too much air traffic over Europe. We arrived back in Coldwater around 11 p.m., quite tired. Thank you for watching and taking this video journey with us.